Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kristen and this is Growing Zone 9B. So today I was out in the garden and we had some frost last night. It was pretty chilly here for Florida, and so I were looking really wilty and damaged to some degree. I just finished washing them off. But this part of the head looks great. This has just got some little bit of like frostbite in it. So I'm getting low on my Lacto-Fermented Cauliflower. This is a super easy recipe to do. But the trick is that you have to make sure that you're doing it correctly so that you don't make yourself sick or anyone else sick. Of course, as you guys know, friends, always do your research so that way you are following the proper steps and protocols to keeping yourself healthy and well. Now, I love this. My brother made me one for Christmas this year. It's super beautiful. It's super good. I've been putting this on my salads. I've just been honestly getting up sometimes in the morning and just grabbing a spoonful of it. It does have a little bit of a strong smell. My nephews are like, what is that smell? It actually doesn't bother me. But what he has been putting in his, which is something I haven't done in the past, is this chili garlic sauce. You can order this on Amazon. I will put information down in the bottom of this video so that you guys can find it if you enjoy something a little bit spicy. I will tell you that I did enjoy the taste of this. It really just upped the flavor a little bit. And I'm going to assume that based on the size jar that he used, he probably maybe used a teaspoon in it. It really wasn't that heavy, and unfortunately I didn't ask him, so I'm just going to be guessing when I make mine today. Now, I'm making mine in half-size gallon jars. What you want to do is make sure this jar is super clean, because I have done lacto ferments before where I thought just washing them like in the sink would be fine, and I've had one or two of them get a funky bacteria on them, and that is not what you want. Now, you can see this water is a little bit cloudy. Do you see that? That is fine. That is kind of what you are looking for in your lacto ferment. If you get black or dark spots on your lacto ferment, toss that. That is not what you are looking for. So let's get started on this. I'm going to start chopping them into small bite-sized pieces, and I'm going to put them into my jars. Now, you can use the stems if you like the stems, but it just gives it kind of like more of a chew. There's nothing wrong with that if you're wanting to utilize your entire product. Alright, so I make sure that my knife is also super clean. And of course, any bits that we don't use we'll be putting out in the compost. And I just like to use a super clean surface, so I lay some paper towels down just to try to make sure everything is extra clean. I have cleaned my counters with a Clorox spray, which I know is kind of toxic. But to me, I just get a little fearful. Here's the size that I'm going to be utilizing. And this is really just an easy process to get that lacto ferment into your body and help your guts. I'm all about gut health. And plus, we're like a fast food nation, you know, we really do eat quite a bit of toxic food. I don't, but as a whole, I think we do, and so I think this is really good, and that's why I wanted to show you guys today. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open this now. I've never used this product before. It's brand new. Like I said, my brother introduced me to this, and I just got it all over me. It smells very garlicky, as to be expected. And I'm gonna say that I use a solid, probably tablespoon and a half, maybe 2 tablespoons in fairness. But I'm using an entire half-gallon size jar here, so. And I'm just gonna kind of put that in the middle because when I finish putting in my cauliflower, yeah, I can definitely see where this was getting very cold and almost frozen. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's almost like icy there. And it's kind of like weird looking. It's almost like rubbery. Yeah, this is the piece that was like frozen. Or starting to freeze anyway. That's what I said, Florida's really weird when it comes to weather. Now you don't want to overpack your jars. Alright, here's my other cabbage that was starting to get ooky out there and kind of freeze up some. Alright, I say that jar is good enough for me. You can see that it's full, it's almost to the very top. Now, like I said, I didn't overpack this jar, and you can actually see that I've put my garlic paste into it. Now, what we want to do is we need 1 tablespoon of Redmond's real salt, or you can use a sea salt, to 2 cups of water. And your measuring cups are going to be in a Pyrex glass container because this is really the most accurate way to get that water in. Now the water you want to use is a purified water. So I'm going to go ahead and get that water now, and we're going to put it in our jars. Alright, we're going to use our measuring here. Like I said, we need 1 tablespoon of salt. Now I do measure this. A lot of recipes, you guys know that I will not measure. I just kind of wing it. And for this recipe, absolutely not. I'm not winging this. That's risky business to me, and we're not risking that. Alright, I stirred it up some, and I'm going to go ahead and pour it into my container. Alright, and this is going to take several cups of water to make it get filled up, so we're going to go ahead and keep filling. Alright, so you want room temperature water, and you're going to fill it almost all the way to the top. You want to make sure that your cauliflower is submerged into this container. Now I'm going to go ahead and use a glass mason jar weight to ensure that my vegetables are actually weighed down. That's a nice level for me because the water is actually still over the weight, and that's how I prefer it, because if anything gets floating to the top, which I can see a couple little bits, but for the most part our brine and mix is underneath this weight. I'm now going to go ahead and use a fermenting lid and then just screwing on a top. These are both went through the dishwasher. I did use some vinegar in my dishwasher just to make sure it was like super sterile, super clean. You are going to leave this beautiful product on your counter. If you want to do a little bit of like swishing around of it to make sure that your chili sauce has gotten mixed in there, definitely do that. What I like to do, even though it has a fermenting lid, is I'm going to leave this for 1 week in a cool, dark room. I will check on it every other day or every day, and I will kind of do a little like swishing back and forth, so that way I make sure everything is getting mixed in, and I just keep an eye on it. Now you can, or I have let my ferments go up to about 3 weeks. I really prefer them at the like 2-week marker. When it gets to 3 weeks, they just get very briny, very intense in flavor. Again, you need to find out what works best for you and your palate. But to start off, if you've never done this type of processing before, I just recommend maybe giving it a week. If you feel like, oh, I'd like it a little more fermented, then go ahead and extend that ferment out for yourself. But friends, this is how easy it is to get this done. And this morning, I knew this was a project that I needed to get done after looking at some of my vegetables in the garden, and I wanted to bring you guys along because this is just a really good way to get this nutrition into your body and your system. A new year brings new opportunities and new growth and learning and a skill set that maybe you didn't have before. And that's what this channel is all about, is growing and changing and learning what will work best for you and your family to keep everyone healthy and well as the new year rolls through. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been a blessing and a pleasure to have you guys with me this past year. And as we move forward, we will continue learning wonderful things and how we can implement our vegetables from our garden, and or you can go pick this up at the grocery store. So this is a versatile learning piece for your toolbox that anybody can do, and it's super simple and super easy, and that's how I like things to be done. All right, friends, until next time, as always, love one another, be kind, and I cannot wait to see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for joining me today.